Hello, good evening and welcome back from my railway tonight, Bedstead Junction. Just going to have a little run. I'm going to call this a celebratory run because today I've had my first COVID-19 injection, so quite happy about that. Everything went well. Anybody who hasn't had it, I don't think there's anything to worry about. I never had any major effects from it or anything. Sat in the car for a quarter of an hour before I drove home, but apart from that I was fine, and that's what they advised you to do anyway. Now we've got Albert Hall back on the tracks again tonight because I've added a small detail to it, something you may not notice while it's going round, but something which in my opinion adds greatly to a locomotive. Now we'll just pull over and we'll just see. Here we are. Okay, as you can see, we've got a loco crew there. I've added a driver and a fireman. See the driver reaching up to the controls there, and the fireman's putting coal into the firebox. Now, on these locomotives, obviously this is a Hornby locomotive, which is from the 1960s or mid 60s to the early 1970s. I don't think it's any later than 1970 perhaps, but they've all had black cabs as far as I'm aware, and certainly as well other models even today, like in the Hornby Railroad range, will have a black cab rather than anything painted or picked out, but that's more of to bring it to into a particular cost level. Obviously back then it was good just to have the detail in the cab, even if it was only moulded in and black. As you see, a crew actually brings it. I think the crew does actually bring the whole thing to life. So there we are. So we've got Albert Hall there now with a loco crew, and we just let her go around for a while. Now, some of the things that's happened to this locomotive, right? I took the body off. Now, while I took the body off, I'll show you what went wrong in just a minute. And it may have happened at any time we're taking the body off. But we'll show you now. Bring it in. As we can demonstrate here. Right. Okay, this piece here, where the actual sort of valve gear is and everything else, and pistons, that's all in one piece. So one piece, it goes across the top of the chassis of the locomotive and down the other side, and that had cracked in half, and somebody had glued it together in the past, but the glue gave way when I took the body off to add the crew. Now I managed to clean everything up. I mean, the actual inside of the locomotive was covered in oil, and I'm not surprised about that. I don't blame anyone for that, because it's been on the rails for many years, and I managed to put everything back together again. It just takes a little bit of patience maybe to get all this gear here put back together again. I'm pointing towards, see the massive finger pointing, but it was all worth it. Now I've got a locomotive now that's decorated with a crew, and I think I've improved it as well by cleaning up a little bit more inside. Now what I generally tend to use on my locomotives to clean is contact cleaner. It evaporates straight away, and it will blast all any dirt or grime away, and then you can clean the locomotive up with cotton buds is usually the best thing to use. That lets you get into all the little nooks and crannies. As you can see, Albert Hall's looking magnificent on the tracks tonight. Superb. And this is I say I'm sitting down here now having a nice run with my locomotives, celebrating my my vaccination. Now I brought all this stuff out and bought a lot of the locomotives because of or during this lockdown, and I intend to keep this channel going after the lockdown's over. So I will be at least trying to put out a video maybe once a week. Obviously, as my leisure opportunities might expand during the course of the year, but we shall wait and see what happens. We don't know what the future holds, but there we are. We got Beautiful locomotive there, worth staying in for. Definitely worth staying in for, I'd say. Now, we're going to be going on to another subject in a moment, and a different locomotive, one we have seen before, and it's this one here, County of Devon. Now, as far as when you go into model railway forums and everything else, you don't get much information, not as much as I would have wished to have had. And the county class of locomotives apparently came out in 3 different guises. This is the Churchward design, the 440, which is basically a 440 version of the Saints class of locomotive. And then there was a tank engine version of this called county tanks, which were a 440 county tank engine made for the suburban services. And then there was later on, after the towards the end of the Second World War, Hawksworth, another chief mechanical engineer, designed another county that was totally different to this. It was a 460 locomotive. Now, all of these locomotives have been sort of said to be not successful, not a great success, because some of them had what you may call a relatively short life on the tracks. But when you think that these were on the tracks for around over 20 years or more, and some of these covered over 1 million miles, and there couldn't have been too much wrong with them. And in fact, I've managed to get hold of a book. Now, I hope that the publishers and anybody else aren't annoyed about me showing this book, but it's going to be the actual my view on this is going to be a really positive one. Now, I'm not going to show you too much of the book, because obviously that would be taking away the reason to buy it yourself. But this is a book I would recommend. Okay, if you're into your counties, Great Western County classes, Churchward 440s, 442 tanks. I was wrong, actually. I did say they call them 440, didn't I? But they're 442 tanks, and Hawksworth 460s. I'm not too familiar with the actual county tanks. I've been reading through this book as I've been as much as I can, but I got to be honest with you, I've been like a kid in a sweet shop looking at the pictures. Okay, and now this book, I would highly recommend it, really, because it gives you a lot of information and insight into these various locomotives. It gives you performance figures and also modelling ideals. What modelling ideals are there? Fantastic, absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, some of these pictures, now I didn't have books that featured many of these locomotives in, simply because this locomotive over here, the 440 county and the 442 tanks, were all scrapped in the 1930s. Now, there's 2 ways of looking at it. Some people might say it's because they weren't successful. I'd say that's not entirely fair. Okay, these locomotives in their lifetime put up a great deal of good service for the Great Western Railway, and really they were only broken up because of newer locomotives are being developed. Now, this picture here is slightly hidden. This, for me, is a modelling ideal here. This is the 440 County of Bedford, number 3821, in grey, in works grey, built in 1912. Now, if there was to be anybody make a model of this in works grey, I don't know if a model exists, but if it does not as of yet, all I can say is, yes please. Okay, now this is these are just a few of the pictures in here, and they give you a huge number of modelling ideas. Okay, if you're into your counties, this one has got me. I'll be going onto the internet shortly, or going to somewhere where I can buy this. Sorry about the glare on there. We'll try and get rid of the glare a little bit if we can. There we go. This is a Dean single here piloted one of these county class 440s. Okay, so you think about what I should be ordering next to go with my Counter Devon. I think a Dean single is going to be on the on my shopping list, definitely. And this is just the beginning. Okay, this is just the beginning. I've just shown you a few. I'm going to let that be nothing more than just a little taster as to what's in this book. And like I say, if you're interested in the county class locomotives, this book is well worth having. And this is something I didn't know either, that these came out in green, the 460 in green, but this one here has got the original crest on it. I always thought they had the laser crest on them if they were painted green. That's something I didn't know. There you are, look at that, superb. So this is Great Western County Classes, the Churchwood 440s, 442 tanks and Hawksworth 460s, and the author is David Maidment. So you can look that one up if you like, and it's definitely worth buying. Okay, so we'll move on to that. Now we're 11 minutes into this video, and we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the things I've been up to today, and some of the things I've been up to in this week. Sorry about the notification coming. I forgot to switch off the notifications. I'm going to do that now. There we go. I just switched off the notification. Sorry about that. I've had a lot of people getting onto me on Facebook, congratulating me on getting my vaccine today. Now, I'm just going to put that one down. I'm sorry I cannot show you any more of this, because obviously it's a book that I recommend that people should get, and I don't want to give too much away. That's just sort of, I hope it's got you thinking about buying it. Now, my Hornby. Yep, I've managed to repair this now. It's getting to a point really where it's at my satisfaction. It's loosening up. I mean, I could take it completely to pieces, I guess, and you know, from top to bottom. But it's getting better and better. I mean, it's getting better and better on points, and it's getting better and better at running. Just saw it there go through the points quite easily. Now, when I first had this, it would stop on the points. And there's nothing inherently wrong with the locomotive. It's just probably been in a box for a long time, perhaps. As you see, it's running lovely. You can probably gather, you can hear the motor, clearly hear the motor on this. Bearing in mind, as I keep on saying, when was this locomotive built? By Hornby, that is. This is the Hall class. Now the Halls were built in the 1930s, and that would have been just as these were being withdrawn. Now it wasn't just these locomotives that were being withdrawn. A lot of the Churchward 260 moguls were being withdrawn at the same time, because they were a lot of the parts are being used to build the Grange class, and these may have been just taken off the line because there were so many moguls still around, the 260s, and obviously there were going to be the Manor class of locomotives being built, the Grange class of locomotives being built, which would have been 460s, suitable for the more lightly laid lines that these engines were designed for. And some of these engines had done well over 1 million miles. I was saying over 1 million miles. Yes, they were a little bit rough riding in real life, but on reading the book of the Great Western County Classes, it would appear to me at least that these were no worse than many 440s. Okay, so obviously if you've got to imagine, like, it's got the same sort of like front end as a Saint class, but everything, all the power and everything else, and the turning forces, and all they're divided between 4 wheels instead of 6. and obviously with a shorter wheelbase, the locomotive is going to, and I'm going to use the helping hand for this, it's going to do a little bit of this, wiggle it from side to side. It will do that. So, but I don't think it was any worse than any other 4-4 locomotive. That's my opinion. I think they've been judged a little bit unfairly. I had a bit of a negative attitude towards them because they were sort of like put down as one of Churchward's least successful designs. But I think they could have gone on longer. They were certainly put on a lot of expresses and gave a good performance. With our whole class as well. These whole classes, once they went into service, they deputised for many a castle or king and kept time. Oh, nearly enough. Now this locomotive video tonight is running into 16 minutes. Always runs on a little bit longer than I originally intended. And I think what we'll do is we're going to leave it here tonight. I think we've shown it. I've shown you the new book I bought. And I'm trying to read it. But I'm also like a kid in a sweet shop looking at the pictures. So, brilliant. Okay, so anyway, thank you very much. And I shall bid you farewell for now. If you like what you see, press like. If you want to subscribe, press subscribe. Press the bell button as well. Be made aware of any new videos I make. I will be producing these obviously quite a lot during the lockdown, and I aim to continue to do this after the lockdown's over. Okay, so and I should be able to at some point get this baseboard tidied up and maybe painted. Maybe put a bit of ballast down or something just to make everything look a little bit more like it. Okay, so anyway, that's something which may happen in the future. So thanks for watching. Thank you very much, and I shall bid you farewell. Thank you very much. Good night.